Commvault offers a method to build a dedicated computer as a standby or passive CommServe host, the ideal solution for organizations that require very short and smooth recovery time objective. Key features include a very quick setup. All you need to do is install and set up another CommServe as a standby. Once set up, you can customize the configuration using an easy-to-use GUI-driven configuration that will walk you through the setup process. Once configured, databases between the active and passive nodes get synchronized continuously. You can monitor the synchronization process using a GUI. You can also fail over the CommServe using this GUI. You can test readiness at any time to make sure that the failover happens smoothly and also to meet your compliance requirements. Additionally, you can also perform the test failover in such a way that it does not affect your regular backup schedule. You can also alternate between the two nodes by performing planned failovers and failback to make sure that both the CommServe hosts are functional. Additionally, you can also set up an automatic failover option in case of emergencies. Simple process ensures minimal downtime and trouble-free failover in event of an actual disaster. Optionally, you can set up alerts to provide a warning in case of disaster or if the active CommServe is down. Setting up the CommServe hosts. We have installed the CommServe on two identical machines. Machine 1, prod machine, is currently active. You can see the services running in this machine. Notice that we have disabled the auto start services in the process manager. Machine 2, DR machine, is currently the passive node. Services are shut down in this machine. The auto start services is also disabled in this machine. Once the CommServe is set up, you are ready to populate the floating CommServe name. First, install the DNS tools. You can do this from the Windows Server Manager. Click Manage, Add Roles and Features. Choose Role-Based or Feature-Based Installation and choose DNS Server Tools. Click Install. Once the tools are installed successfully, populate the DNS with the floating CommServe name. This can be done by inserting a DNS A record using the floating CommServe name and the IP address of the production CommServe. Once the A record is successfully added, test the floating CommServe name to make sure that it is populated and accessible. Repeat the process in the standby CommServe host. Now we need to install the SQL Server agent and CommServe failover packages on both the CommServe hosts. Remember to install the packages as a second instance. To do that, you need to enable the ballow multi-instances registry key. Now, launch the installer and start the installation in a new instance. Install the CommServe failover and SQL Server packages. Make sure that the client name is unique for the second instance. Also, make sure to provide the floating name as the CommServe host name. Repeat these steps in the standby CommServe. Run the installer and choose a new instance. Choose the same packages and once again, remember to provide a unique client name for the instance and the floating CommServe name. After the installation, the second instance clients will be displayed in the CommServe console. Enable CommServe failover configuration by setting the Enable CV Failover PY additional setting in the second instance client on both the production and the standby CommServe hosts. Now, create a test failover group and add clients to be used for failover testing. The test failover group must contain a minimum of 2 clients. Now you are ready to configure the failover. To configure the failover, launch the CommServe Failover Configuration tool from the active node. In Screen 1, enter the details for Node 1 and Node 2. Select the second instance SQL agent client names for the appropriate clients. And select a storage policy to be used for performing SQL log shipping. Enable the Use DNS Server for Failover checkbox. In Screen 2, type the details of the floating CommServe hostname and the DNS server details. In Screen 3, you can set up email alerts by setting up Witness Server. Witness servers are optional and not mandatory. In Screen 4, verify the details and click Finish. Once the configuration is successfully saved, open the CommServe console. You will notice that the SQL subclients are automatically created. And almost immediately, the SQL synchronization job will complete successfully. This completes the failover configuration. You can monitor the status of the setup at any time using the Failover Monitor tool. The status of the active and passive nodes are displayed. The currently active node is also displayed. As the failover must be performed from the passive node, the failover options appear grayed out in the active node. If necessary, you can now fine-tune the options in the Failover Configuration tab. Time for synchronization has been set to 30 minutes, and time for full backups are set to 7 days by default. We can set the test failover group. Click Update Configuration. Log in to the passive node and run a test failover. Just click the Test Failover option. Status will show that the services are starting. Keep in mind that the test failover starts the services in the standby CommServe, and only the clients in the test failover group are pointed to the standby CommServe host. The production CommServe host will not be affected. Log in to CommServe console from the standby CommServe console. You will see that both the clients in the test failover group points to the standby CommServe host. Run Check Readiness to verify that the clients can communicate with the CommServe. To reset the clients, open the Failover Monitor from the passive node and click the Test Fallback option. The fallback will shut down the services in the standby CommServe. It is a good idea to periodically perform planned failovers to verify and ensure that the CommServe is functional from both the CommServe hosts. Before you initiate a failover, make sure that both the CommServe hosts have the same service pack and updates. Note that it is a good practice to keep the CommServe hosts identical, even if you are not initiating planned or other failovers. To initiate a failover, first log into the passive node and launch the failover monitor. First, disable the automatic synchronization and update the configuration. In the active node, open CommServe console and suspend the deduplication database and schedules. Go to the failover monitor in the passive node and initiate a manual synchronization by clicking the Sync Now button. Once the synchronization completes, you can initiate a failover. Click the Action button and click Failover. Behind the scenes, the services in the production CommServe host will be stopped and the services in the standby will be started. The passive node will become the active node. Open CommServe console and enable the deduplication databases and schedules. An email alert for successful completion will also be sent out if alerts were configured. This completes your planned failover. When you have a disaster, such as when your production CommServe is offline and inaccessible, you can fail over the CommServe to the standby production host. Observe that the services are down in the production CommServe host, and hence the CommServe is not functional. In this case, log in to the standby CommServe host and launch the Failover Monitor tool. Initiate a failover by clicking the Action button and then choosing the Failover option. The standby CommServe will now become the active node. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it useful. If you have any comments or feedback, send an email to devcvfailover@commvault.com.